Good evening, I'm Joe Pinion in for Eric Bolling tonight. On this Thanksgiving, we remember that fateful phrase, I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. That was Abraham Lincoln. In the shadow of the Battle of Gettysburg that claimed the lives of 50,000 Americans in the fog of a civil war to preserve this union, there was the 16th president of these United States of America imploring our wounded republic to turn a deaf ear to our lesser angels and seek higher ground, to seek God, to seek gratitude, to find the strength of character and compassion, to stop viewing our neighbors as our enemies, and to remember that the eternal bonds that fueled our fledgling nation's fight for freedom was ordained by God's providence. Well, a little less than 2 years later, the war had ended, the Union had been preserved, and Lincoln would ultimately pay for our enduring peace with his life. A bullet to the brain at the Ford Theater, his last full measure of devotion for our republic, if we could keep it. 155 years later, Joseph Robinette Biden stood on the steps of the U.S. Capitol and quoted the deceased great unifier, promising that his whole soul was too in unifying America once again. But it has been 3 years, and the unity and security that was promised is practically nowhere to be found. Instead, we have a president that abandoned Afghanistan to the Taliban and has done nothing, while the Chinese Communist Party has handed them hundreds of millions of dollars to do what terrorists do best, terrorize the innocent. We have a president that did nothing, while the Chinese Communist Party handed $400 billion to an Iranian Ayatollah who prays for death to America and believes the entirety of Israel is not a nation, but a military occupation. A president whose administration sees 4,000 New Yorkers screaming from the river to the sea in the aftermath of an unprovoked terrorist attack by Hamas, and they call it free speech. And yet someone who views upset parents at a PTA meeting in Virginia as a threat to democracy deserving placement on a terrorist watch list. All while we have actual terrorist apprehensions along our northern and southern border up tenfold on his watch, nearly 200 terrorist apprehensions, and those are just the ones that we know about. All while he continues to double down on open border policies that have debased our nation's sovereignty, endangered every single citizen, and created a migrant crisis threatening to bankrupt cities as large as New York. This is the reality of the Biden presidency. A man who has done more to rebuild the old global axis of evil than he has to restore the faith of Americans or the standing of America around the world. We are staring down the barrel of not one, not two, but 3 explosive and potentially expansive wars, from Gaza to Ukraine to the South China Sea, when you realize China is waiting for the right moment to see if they can once again seize Taiwan. After decades of peace and stability in the aftermath of World War II, Joe Biden's final legacy will be as the man who ushered in the end of Pax Americana. The role of the president is to accumulate gray hairs on behalf of a grateful nation. The before and after pictures for this job, they are not kind. And so perhaps it is fitting that we should remember Lincoln's clarion call for humility and gratefulness, a belief in a divine purpose greater than ourselves. Because yes, the Civil War was in fact a nightmare, but the willingness to fight in defense of unity, of this union, well, that is truly priceless. And if we remain devoted to America, then we must be willing to love it through the nightmare placed on America's horizon by a man who promised his election alone would bring all of our American nightmares to an end.